achieved the distinction of being first into two enemy capitals, Manila and Tokyo, now set themselves to the task of adding another first to their record, Pyongyang, the capital city of the North Korean aggressor. They succeeded. This victory, too, was theirs. And with the collapse of the North Korean enemy, symbolized by this capture of his strongly held capital, the hope for peace grew bright again. But it was a false hope. An entirely new war came with the entry of the Chinese communists into the conflict. Korea added many names to the division's roster of memorable battles. Its last big action was a series of sustained assaults on famed Old Baldy and the vital hills around it, which in enemy hands threatened the United Nations supply lines. Old Baldy was taken. The last campaign ended in victory. A victory bought, like all the others, with bravery and devotion. When the fighting was over for the weary men of the division, they returned to Japan. The last in a long and gallant line of cavalrymen who had fought their nation's wars with distinction. The inheritors of a tradition which reached back to the earliest pages of the American past, the cavalry. But through 2 wars, cavalrymen had fought dismounted, and now the word cavalry existed only as a name and a noble memory, or so it seemed. So it would seem indeed. No more can be heard again the creak of saddle harness in battle. The horse has retired forever from the field of combat. The few horses that remain in the Army are stationed at the old cavalry post of Fort Myer, Virginia. The old ones bask in the sun after years of service. Younger horses are still drafted for service, not the exciting service that their forebears knew, but duty of signal honor nonetheless. They belong, along with the men who ride them and care for them, to the Honor Guard unit of the 3rd Infantry Regiment. Theirs is the job of transporting America's heroic military dead to their final resting place. They are proud symbols of an army that has gone. Today's army is shaped to the demands of the battlefield of the future. It is an army that must be prepared for all possible combat conditions, conditions never before experienced by men at war. It is an army built on firepower. Its arsenal of weapons with which it can hit an enemy is spectacular. It is an army characterized by mobility. Troops who can disperse over great distances in all kinds of situations. There is no place in such an army for the old horse cavalry, but that does not mean the cavalry itself is gone. Honorable traditions do not die easily, nor do historic missions which have proved themselves indispensable in warfare. The horse is gone, but the cavalry still remains, mounted now on other steeds. It rides on tanks and armored carriers on the ground. rides in helicopters and other light aircraft in the sky. There is a cavalry troop capable of operating both in the air and on the ground in each of the Army's new pentomic divisions. Divisions reorganized to meet the demands of war on an atomic battlefield. The cavalry troop is still the division's antennae, prepared to carry out the cavalry's time-proved mission of reconnaissance with a mobility in keeping with the characteristics of today's Army. Techniques change, but traditions endure. And the traditions of the men who won the West, who died with Custer, who rode with Stuart and with Sheridan, who found glory at the charge and wrote history with their spirit, are too deeply embedded in the fiber of America ever to be lost or forgotten. Traditions endure. The hoofbeats of the cavalry thunder still in the memory of living men. And they echo and will echo forever in the mind of the nation.
From the horse to the air, a long ride and a colorful one. That is the story of the cavalry in your Army. Now this is Sergeant Stuart Queen, your host for The Big Picture.
The Big Picture is an official television report for the armed forces and the American people. Produced by the Army Pictorial Center. Presented by the United States Army in cooperation with this station.